This is The Sports Life.
1-2 with 2 outs. Nebraska leads UCLA 7-2 in the top of the 7th. From with a 1-2. Suarez swings and misses. Strike 3, and Nebraska has won the 2026 Big Ten Tournament Championship. The Huskers, the undisputed Big Ten champ.
No doubt about that as they win the regular season and the Big Ten Tournament. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Cheddar, welcome into the Sports Life for this week. Well, good news from the Nebraska softball fans, and for the show, we've got some really interesting topics, one of which is obviously Nebraska softball, but we're going to talk about doing good, the Izzo Legacy Foundation, what they do, how they raise money, and how this little bitty effort for local charity became a statewide thing.
That's really cool, and there's no questioning that that's doing some good. Something that might be a bit more subjective is the college football playoff maybe expanding to 24 teams. Bill Bender of the Sporting News will talk with us if he thinks that is doing good for the game of college football and what's to come with it. And you mentioned Nebraska softball. We're actually going to be joined by the voice you heard there from the very top, Nate Rohr, the voice of Nebraska softball. He's going to talk about what a wonderful season it has been for the Cornhuskers.
Well, in terms of our sounds, what do you got?
Well, let's stay on the diamond for a moment in Big Ten softball because something historic took place in that Big Ten softball tournament. Megan Grant, UCLA Bruin, hit her 38th home run of the season. That is a new NCAA record for a single season. Here's what it sounded like on the television broadcast, and we'll get to hear from her head coach, Kelly Inoue Perez, afterwards on what this means to her.
Megan Grant, a swing for the softball ages. 38 home runs, the most Division I softball has ever seen in a single season.
What does it mean to coach an athlete like her?
Oh, everything. You know, I think we're very fortunate. We go after the top 1% because not only is she an outstanding athlete, but she's also an honorable student. She's going to go play pro, and she's going to be able to do whatever she wants in life with a degree and the opportunity to continue to play pro, something that she loves to do.
Can you imagine, Dalton, saying that you're the best, period?
No.
I mean, think about that. All the great people that have played softball, and you're number one of all time. That's what an amazing accomplishment.
It certainly is, and I mean, to go with just her success story, she also was on the UCLA women's basketball team throughout her career, so she can do it all. Can this Megan Grant? Bright future ahead, and certainly a bright present at the moment for her. The other thing we want to get to, this one, it takes place with the Indiana Hoosiers, but it takes place in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, because the Indiana Hoosiers got to visit the White House celebrating their national championship in football, which still, it's hard to say, but that is the reality we live in. Here's what Curt Cignetti had to say at the podium on the White House lawn.
Hoosiers in the stands here and behind me. We got to give them one, two, three, hoo, 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 hoo. 1, 2, 3, hoo, hoo, hoo. Okay, thank you. That's a lot of nice accolades there. Appreciate all that. It all starts with Pam Whitten, our president, Scott Dolson, our athletic director. You got to have a commitment at the top. Without a commitment at the top, nothing's possible. 2025 Indiana Hoosiers, all right? You know, 24 was a fluke, right? College football playoffs start out 10-0. You know, they won't be very good. All right, 16-0. That's the best record in college football since 1894. That's 132 years. That's before the NCAA. So safe to say that's the greatest record in college football history. Beat 6 top 10 teams, all right? And how did we get that done? All right, we had great people on the staff that thought alike, in the locker room that thought alike. Great leadership, good talent, great character, coachable, 11 guys doing their job, play in, play out, all right? The sum becomes greater than, the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts, and the most consistent, day in, day out, meeting in, meeting out, practice in, practice out, group I've ever seen in my life, And to me, it's a simple message, all right? Prepare the right way every single day to a high standard, and anything is possible in life. The only limitations are those between your ears, and you can't have any of those either. So go IU!
Well, there you go. The worst program in Division I football history. What's Coach Signetti say? The best record ever?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think, Dalton. I mean, we've talked about this whole Indiana thing. But when we talked to him in Indy when he first got the job, he talked about, here he was, this assistant coach at Alabama. He's in his 50s. What do you do? He's not been a coordinator. He's not been a head coach. And so he takes a gamble and he takes a head job at IUP, Indiana University, Pennsylvania. Obviously a pay cut. But he rolls the dice. And do you think in his wildest dreams, I mean, seriously, you think he ever thought he would be a national champ and be at the White House?
You know, as detail-oriented and as focus-driven as he is, it's hard to imagine that he ever had that thought when he took the job at IU Pennsylvania. But maybe he did, because he's been so confident in whatever the success that he saw for whatever program he was in charge of. Maybe he had this coming all along.
I don't know, but boy, he did it, and he's still going. Well, when we come back, we're going to keep with the football team. We're going to talk with Bill Benner with the Sporting News. Pretty good discussion coming up about the expansion of the college football playoffs. It's all coming up in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you. Every kid deserves a chance to feel safe, to have their own bed, to be loved and cared for. That's why I love my foster parents. They make me feel like part of the family.
Raise hope and foster dreams for one of 13,000 Michigan children in foster care. Visit michigan.gov/hope for a home or call 855-MICH-KIDS. That's 855-MICH-KIDS. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Expansion. Dalton and I have talked about the basketball version of it in postseason play. And we've been talking about the possibility of it in football since we've gone from, at one point, well, we had 2, and then we had 4, then we had 12, and now we're going to get some more. And to help us break all this down is Bill Bender, columnist from Sporting News. And, Bill, thanks for joining us. And I guess the first thought I had, where really is all this heading, all this expansion?
24, eventually. And it's scary because – I talk about Ohio high school football quite a bit, and I know we're one of the few high school organizations. We expanded. When I was a senior in high school, I don't want to tell you how long ago, we put 4 per region in the tournament. And now it ballooned up to 16 schools per region, 64 per division, and we actually contracted. And I think there's a lesson to be learned here. My big question, Will, is why are we going from 12 to 24 without trying 16 first? Because I think 16 is a more plausible number if you play the first 2 rounds on campus. And last year, for example, you would get Texas, Notre Dame, BYU, and Vandy in. All schools that we kind of argued about. I remember arguing with you guys about them. But that's where I'm at with it. And I don't know. I think a lot of it's TV driven and driven by the Big Ten. And I just think the more times I hear 24, they're trying to sell that to us, and they'll eventually do it like they did with the basketball tournament.
Well, Bill, I eventually want to dive a little bit more into quality of product and all the different things around this concept that this all means and value. But first, I want to understand the players, because you're talking about the Big Ten Conference that really likes the idea of 24 teams. We're talking about the SEC and Commissioner Greg Sankey, who's come out in the last few days and said 16 is the path forward. As we know, the Big Ten and SEC have just as much money, if not more, than the NCAA. These are the 2 heavyweight champs in the arena. What are all the other pieces where momentum is swinging back and forth supporting either the Big Ten or the SEC in their respective corners?
Well, I think for the SEC, it's not a panic, but they haven't had a national champion in 3 years. And the dichotomy here is a couple things. They've had the most playoff teams. I think they have the most programs that are playoff caliber, but the Big Ten with that extra 2 schools, 18 schools, 3 straight national titles, exerting a lot of influence. NIL has helped the Big Ten tremendously, I think. Whether it's – and the West Coast schools have added. They've been additive. Oregon with what they're doing. As we speak, I was writing about Washington before I got on the call, and I think they're a interesting playoff sleeper. USC could be good this year. So I think some of it is they're trying to get as many teams as they can in, but what Greg Sankey sees, and I'm aligned with, is once you go to 24, the season's going to be longer. It's harder to, so the SEC, for example, their SEC champion the last 2 years, Georgia, has not won a playoff game because of the bye week. So why not play 16, put those first 2 rounds on campus, and we can start doing the bowl games for the semifinals and the championship, much like the Final Four does in basketball.
In this article you wrote, you had a great quote, courtesy of the American Football Coaches Association. The quote was, "Future playoff models should maximize the number of participants." And you know what? Is it me, or do I read this as they're saying, well, the more teams we get in, the more jobs we'll save? What do you think?
100%. And you've heard the term self-preservation, right? Like we've got a coach is going to be judged much like in basketball where, you take the Big Ten basketball coaches. I think Matt Painter and Tom Izzo and Dusty May, sometimes in their resume, you put Sweet 16 a lot. And that's the equivalent here. If you get to the playoff, your job is a little more secure. I would argue that if we were in a 16-team playoff the last 10 years, James Franklin would still be the coach at Penn State because they would have had a handful of appearances. It changes the way we evaluate coaches, and I think that's a big thing. The one thing the AFCA did that I am in alignment with is I want to get rid of the conference championship games. I want to skip to the playoff from there. I don't know that they're additive in this format other than for seeding. I get the importance of the trophy, but the three of us grew up without a Big Ten championship game. And you know what? It was fine. I survived when Wisconsin and Ohio State split the Big Ten championship when Barry Alvarez was there. I lived afterward. You know what I mean? And I think we can do that the more playoff teams we add.
Well, I think you're right, and it's funny, too, because, I mean, Will went through, you had the BCS and then 14 playoff and then 12 and now maybe 24. I mean, there used to be a day that it was the writers who decided who got to be the national champion, which feels just so far away now, and it really isn't that far past in the rearview mirror. I want to ask you, Bill, I think there could have been an argument, and probably has been an argument, that the college football regular season is the greatest regular season there is in all of sports in the United States of America. I'm curious if you feel that with an expansion like this to maybe 24 teams, where when Ohio State and Michigan meet at the end of the regular season, I mean, sure, it feels like it has a little something to it, but maybe they meet again in the playoffs, so maybe this doesn't really matter in the end. Are we diminishing what was the greatest regular season in sport in America?
I think so, but some disagree. And the disagreement stems from, November, you have all these teams playing games that have playoff implications. You have more there. There's no question that's the case, but that's the NFL, right? Here's the argument I would make too. I'm a big Green Bay fan. Don't know if I'm allowed to say that on your show, but I am. And I can remember 5 regular season Packers games, but if I made a list of the 5 greatest NFL regular season games, I'd struggle to make that. On the college side, I can give you 10 without blinking. Kick 6. 1 versus 2, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, LSU 19, Florida State, Notre Dame 93. Those 1 versus 2 games that were it seems like time stops when you watch them. I don't know that we'll have that in college football anymore. That singular moment that you point to, there'll be good games and there'll still be rivalries, but the nature of them will change. And one other thing, Dalton, that I think will happen, I won't be surprised if they reshuffle rivalry week, because if you play a longer playoff, and coaches can say they won't do it, they'll rest starters eventually, like we do in Week 18 in the NFL. And I think that could lead to some serious changes. And if people don't think it can change, USC and Notre Dame aren't playing next year. Oklahoma and Nebraska is no longer a rivalry. Things change a lot in this sport, more than we give credence to.
Perception is always a big deal, right? You threw around some numbers. In the NFL, when you broke it out, 14 out of 32 teams make the playoffs. That's just about 44% of them get in. And that doesn't seem like a big number for whatever reason. And right now we're at about 9% getting in, so it would bump up to that 17 range if you expand to 24. Why does it seem that going to 24 collegiate teams is so much bigger than what we do in the NFL?
I just think because of the quality of the product, right? Like when we get to the NFL playoffs and go back to Green Bay and Chicago play, nobody remembers what they finished in the division. They kind of do. I mean, the Bears won the division, but that game becomes more important. If we were at 24 teams in the playoff last year, Georgia Tech, who could not stop anybody in November, and Iowa, who was among the worst passing offenses in football, would have been playoff teams. And you're going to have to be okay with a 4-loss team or a 5-loss team winning or getting to the playoffs. The thing that I always separated as a fan, being NFL and college, is when your NFL team loses on Sunday, the lingering effect doesn't last that long. When you lose a college football game, it could stick with you for a year sometimes. Think about those Michigan State games, the close ones. They linger with a program forever. And I think that changes too, especially if, well, you know what, we're going to be the 17th seed in the college football playoffs, so this loss doesn't really matter.
Bill, I want to ask you too, because it's funny. I mean, we draw some of the comparisons and contradictions between the professional game and the college football game. And in the pros, I mean, if you win your division, sure, that's cool. If you win the conference, it matters for seeding, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't take pride in that necessarily, unless it's the conference championship game in the playoffs. If you're just the top of the AFC, it's cool to be the number 1 seed, and that's about it. College football used to have a real pride in regions and still does in regional football, but conferences. There was such a pride behind winning your conference, being the champ of the Big Ten, so on and so forth. And it feels like a lot of the championship or bust, number one or nothing, is kind of flooding in from the pro game to the college game. I'm curious culturally, why has that become a part of this?
Well, the regionality is lost a little bit. And I'll give you an example. I have one of my groomsmen at my wedding was a Michigan State grad. And I texted him last year. Remember the USC game when it started at like 11 at PM our time, and the eyes were bleary at 2. And I texted him about 1:30 in the morning. I said, "Are you still up?" I was like, "Isn't this the Big Ten you dreamed of?" And it was a joke, but it was, the reality that we live in, where that it doesn't feel regional to me anymore. I think some of it's the cost of going national, and the sport is more national than ever. And I grew up again, growing up in Central Ohio. I'll be honest with you guys. Growing up, I didn't really care about the SEC, in that way that I do now. I wouldn't necessarily, when I was 12, I wasn't sitting down and watching Ole Miss and Mississippi State, partially because it might not have been on TV at the time. But it has changed a lot. There's more there, but I think the soul of the game has changed. I think the soul of the game is a little bit different. I miss, personally, if I could go back, I looked at this last year, if I could go back to the Big Ten in 1984, I think I would take it, because you would play those teams every year. I can't, you guys probably go through that somewhat, right? When Michigan State, is there a Big Ten team off the top of your head that hasn't come to Spartan Stadium in a long time? I'm sure there is, a traditional one.
You just mentioned something really interesting. The soul of the game has changed. What do you mean by that?
Well, I like everything we've talked about, like the rivalries, the regular season's different. I like the expanded playoff in some ways. I like the games at home campuses. I like that November in some ways you're paying more attention to Texas Tech and BYU. You're paying more attention to, hey, is this team in? Vanderbilt, for example, that was a fun story last year. But, the nature of rivalries has changed. I think there's a little bit of, ambivalence. And again, I live in the Central Ohio bubble, so it's tough. But there are games with Ohio State that I'm like, you walk into the game and you're like, there is zero chance that Minnesota's beating them today. It didn't used to be like that. I mean, even in the old Big Ten, there was a handful of games they better play well or they could lose. And here's the other thing. Indiana won it last year. I think we're going to look back at that in 10 years and say, it's not that everybody can win it. It was more about, man, Kurt Cignetti can coach and evaluate talent, and how in the world did he get Fernando Mendoza to play like that? I think that's going to be the conversation 10 years from now.
Okay, final thought here, Bill. If we go to 24, long-term, good or bad?
Man, I had to take a long pause there. Sorry. I think undecided and leaning toward bad, because I just think there'll be a football fatigue at one point. I could be wrong. I enjoyed the 14 playoff. I've enjoyed the 12-team playoff, but there has to be some exclusivity to it, right? Like when you made, going back to my high school reference, when you made the high school playoff, it used to mean something. You wouldn't have first round blowouts. There was a sense to the accomplishment. I don't think making the 2014 playoff as an accomplishment would hit in East Lansing any more than the year that they played the Cotton Bowl against Alabama, where they had a dream season of sorts. I remember I was in press row when the pump fumble happened. Will we have moments like that anymore? I don't know. And that's what I'm worried about if we go to 24. Maybe I'm overselling it the other way, and maybe people will enjoy it because more people will be in the playoff. I just think at the heart of college football, it's not what it's about. And like Dalton said, Will, I did have to explain to my 15-year-old son that there was once upon a time we just voted on it, and he wasn't a fan of that. So I'll give him that.
Those were the days, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well,
he just
Bill,
looked at me like I had two heads, guys.
That's fun. Well, Bill, sure appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
There you go. Some of the thoughts of Bill Bender, great columnist from the Sporting News. Okay. As soon as he mentioned, are there any teams Michigan State hadn't played in football in a while? I saw you go right to your data. So what did you find?
Well, I was curious, and Northwestern's a pretty good example. The last time Northwestern came to Spartan Stadium was actually the COVID season, 2020. So the last time, if you back up before then, that Northwestern came to East Lansing where there were fans in attendance, 2018. That's 8 years ago since original Big Ten member Northwestern visited Michigan State. And then also, I took a look. The last time Michigan State Northwestern even played was 2021 when Kenneth Walker, who's now the Super Bowl MVP, got his first start for the Spartans and had that touchdown right away. But it's been 5 years since they've even met.
So think about this. There are some people that have played for both teams, and let's say they stayed the traditional 4 seasons. They've never played each other.
Never seen them.
Welcome to the new Big Ten. And I do want to leave you with one thought that Bill Bender had in one of his articles. Had a great line about Indiana. He said, Indiana this past football season, our national champs, undefeated, was a dominant team disguised as Cinderella. What a great line.
That is.
Back with more in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
That ought to do it. Totally energy efficient.
Oh no, not again. This time, we're getting help.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the battle of energy efficiency improvements. In this corner, Mr. I can save money and do it on my own. And in this corner, Miss Let's Get It Done Right with some help. Fight!
Or you could just go to avoidenergydrama.com. From sealing your home to helpful loan options, you'll find all the tips and tools you need to stop wasting energy and stay comfortable. Avoidenergydrama.com. Brought to you by Michigan Saves.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, as we said at the top of the show, a magical year for softball in Nebraska. They are the Big Ten champs, regular season and also postseason. And joining us on the show now is the guy who's got to describe this magical run, the voice of the Cornhuskers softball team, Nate Rohr. Nate, thanks for joining us. And let's start off by just talking about the journey, how the season was.
Oh, it's been a blast, no doubt. I mean, when Jordy Fromm committed to transfer to Nebraska in the summer of 2023, this is the sort of season that I envisioned. And though it took a little longer to get here, Jordy had the injury in 24. This team has built up around her and has become a dominant team and the best in the Big Ten. So it's been a lot of fun to see this team roll through the conference season and even win more than their share of battles in non-conference against the toughest non-conference schedule in the country.
You know, Nate, we played your final call recently here on this show where Nebraska wins the Big Ten championship outright for the regular season. First time done in 22 years. Can you break down the significance and relevance of what that moment meant for the wait to be that long and to finally get that payoff?
Well, certainly. I mean, yeah, Nebraska split the Big Ten title in 2014 with Michigan, and there's always an asterisk around that, and you don't like sharing anything, but the fact that Nebraska was so dominant in this league this year and was able to wrap up the Big Ten championship without having to share it just speaks to how they locked down this league. And you think about 23 conference wins, that ties 94 Indiana for most wins by a team in a normal Big Ten schedule year. Michigan, coming out of COVID in 2021, had more, but that's because it was an all Big Ten schedule. But the fact that Nebraska was so dominant and so clearly this year the best team in the Big Ten, that was really special. I mean, this league has upgraded with the additions of UCLA and Oregon and Washington, and the fact that Nebraska was able to rampage through this league as they did speaks to how great they were.
When you talk about being special, and look, UCLA is certainly a special group too. It's a special program. That's who the Huskers had to take down in the Big Ten tournament championship game. I mean, you're talking about a Bruin and Megan Grant, who now has the NCAA home run record of all time. Take us through the final moments there in College Park, where Nebraska ends up pretty handedly dominating UCLA in that championship game, and what that championship meant to you as you continue to have to make some room there on the trophy shelf.
Yeah, and to beat UCLA to get it, I mean, UCLA is one of the flagship programs in all of college softball, and coming into this season, Nebraska had a 13-game, 38-year losing streak against UCLA. Of course, they didn't play every single year in that 38-year losing streak, but UCLA is one of those top-notch programs, and even as Nebraska softball has been on the uptick in recent years, it's felt like UCLA is one of those programs that's just out of reach. So the fact that Nebraska was able to beat them 2 out of 3 during the regular season was good enough. But, you can always make the argument as a home game. It was early in the season, whatever. But the fact that Nebraska was able to rule in the conference tournament where you want to be at your absolute best validates what you were able to do in late March, and just says that this year you had the upper hand on the Bruins. I mean, it's notable anytime you can beat those guys in softball, and to clinch a championship with it was really special.
And you talk about reaching new heights. I mean, that really feels like the entirety of Rhonda Revell's career there in Lincoln. You're talking about somebody in Rhonda Revell who started there in Lincoln as the head Husker in 1993. We're talking about 3+ decades of leading this program. And recently, she had the field named after her there at Bullen Stadium. Mm-hmm. Can you explain to us the fan reverence and connection that they have with Rhonda Revell and what she's done taking this program to where it is?
Well, she's just been a steady fount of positive energy and positive impact on the community and on the state of Nebraska, and everybody who's dealt with her for any period of time comes away feeling better.
because she is just that sort of person. And then, as you work in her program, I started as a public address announcer in 2004 when I was in college. And, I was just the guy dropping in PA announcing. And yet she still made me feel important. She still made me feel like I was a part of the program and I had something to contribute. And my experience is pretty consistent with everybody else who's been a part of Nebraska softball. So you have that positivity and that strength. And you also just have excellence over time. If this team goes to the Women's College World Series, she'd be the third coach in Division I softball to take a team to the series in 4 different decades, along with Mike Candrea and Lou Harris-Champers. So you're talking about sustained excellence for 30 plus years, and you're talking about a very positive force in the community. It's a tough package to beat, and that's why going beyond just being the winningest coach in Husker athletics history and going beyond 3 trips to the Women's College World Series, that's why her name's on the field.
Nate, I want to ask you here, too, because that's simply remarkable, but you dropped in a little Easter egg there that you had started doing some public address announcing for Nebraska a couple of decades ago. I want to ask you, too, because I'm not sure if everybody puts the 2 dots together, but you're the voice of Nebraska softball on the radio, but you're also the voice of Memorial Stadium. You're the public address announcer for Nebraska football. Nate, it kind of feels like Nebraska just runs through your blood, and you are like the ultimate Husker type of person. Can you describe how you found yourself in both of these positions and what the institution means to you?
It means the world to me. I was born and raised in Beatrice, Nebraska, which is a town of about 12,000 people, 45 minutes south of Lincoln. And I was 9 years old in 1994, and I was 10 years old in 1995, and I was 12 years old in 1997. And those were 3 football national championship years. And so Husker athletics have always had a big place for me. And I've been so fortunate. I came up here to start going to school at Nebraska in 2003, in the fall of 2003. And I've had a role either with the radio network or the athletic department or both ever since then. And so it's a big part of my life, and I've been fortunate. It's a big part of lots of people's lives here in the state, and I've just been fortunate that I've been able to ride that passion, to have a front row seat, to have a first class ticket to see these programs over the years and have a small part in them.
Well, Nate, that simply is really incredible, and we're really happy for you. We're really happy for Nebraska softball. We wish you nothing but the very best of luck, and thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, happy to join you, especially when the news is this good, huh?
Absolutely. Take care, Nate. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for having me.
There you go, some of the thoughts of Nate Rohr, the voice of Nebraska softball, talking about the great season they've just had. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to talk about a group of people that raise a lot of money to help some people that could use the help. Back with more in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad, did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, one of the great things about the Big Ten Conference, whether it's a university or a head coach, these institutions and individuals have made a point to give back to the community, raise money for causes. And nobody's better at it than probably over the last 3 decades than Tom Izzo has been, the head men's basketball coach at Michigan State. He has been front and center in his community as well as his family for quite a long time. And what they have just concluded is his 7th running of their Run, Walk, and Roll 5K, part of the Izzo legacy. 9,000 plus participated, second largest such event in our great state of Michigan. And joining us now, one of the people that's really at the forefront of this is Tom's daughter, Rocky. And Rocky, thanks for joining us. And I think before we talk about some of the good that has been done, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about where this whole thing began.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So a few years ago, I feel like our university was just going through a really hard time, and my mom and I wanted to shed some really positive light on our university, our state, our city, and we just thought, what a better way than to have all these people come together for something good, like giving money to people who are less fortunate than us.
And so when you got this going, you had this idea, you wanted to do something to help people. When you got everybody together, when it started to take shape, what was the immediate goal? What was the first real thing you tried to do?
We just wanted to have an impact. We wanted to give money away to do good within our community, and we really just wanted to bring people together for a good cause. So we were hopeful that people would come to the race. We didn't know how many, we would have at the time, but we were just hopeful that people would want to come together for something good the way that we wanted it to come together.
Well, here you are, 9,000 plus participants. You've raised a lot of money. How much money do you think this legacy effort has raised?
Yeah, so through the end of 2025, so I guess it's been the last 6 years, we've distributed over $1.5 million.
$1.5 million. So given the numbers that we think we have right now, your 9,000 plus participants and sponsorships, at the end of the day, you're going to be talking about $2 million you pump back in to the community. And so when you look at this, how do you decide who gets the money?
So we have a charity partner application that we've had charities apply to for the last couple years. But before that, it was just handpicked charities by my mom and I, who were charities that my parents had supported all of these years. But now it's really cool that we've grown so much that we actually need an application for people to apply. At first, it was just, the great Lansing area. And then we wanted to start expanding a little bit farther and farther and farther. So this year, we were really into the Detroit area and the Grand Rapids area. And so we're excited to keep expanding throughout Michigan.
Well, it's interesting. Can you explain your virtual race that goes along with this?
Yes. So anybody who can't come in person, which we would love for you to come in person, but we understand schedules and things like that. So if you can't come in person, we have a virtual option where you just apply as normal, and you get a t-shirt and a bib sent to you. And hopefully you go out the day of the race and you do a 5K with whoever you want. It was really cool this year. We had people from the Michigan State alumni group in New York meet at Central Park with a bunch of different people and do their race in Central Park, which I think was so awesome. I also had some people on social media just send me their virtual runs. One girl was on a beach in California, and this year marked us hitting all 50 states, which is super exciting, that we're now officially have hit all 50 states for our virtual race. So we were super proud of that.
So what has triggered all this? What has been the magic here, Rocky?
I think, passion, dedication. We're all volunteers here. So, we have to do it for the love. My dad says you either like what you do, love what you do, or live what you do. And we've definitely found an amazing group of people who live what they do and love what they do. And that is just to help people who are less fortunate and to keep growing and to come together for great causes. And just the electrifying day that race day was with over 9,000 people, it just made me emotional seeing all the corrals of people just waiting to go through the start line. You don't get energy like that if you don't love and feel the emotion of the impact that you're giving to people.
Well, I know you, I know your mom, I know your brother, I know your dad. And none of you sit on your laurels. So what is next? How are you going to make this bigger and better?
Well, our goal is to hit over 10,000 participants. We would love that to be 10,000 in person, and more than virtually. Also, down the road, I think it would be great to extend the race. We would love to maybe introduce a 10K, possibly a half marathon, and maybe a full someday. So we definitely have big goals ahead of us. So the more people we reach in terms of, signing up and coming, the more people at the end of the day we can help and give money to. So that's definitely the goal, raise more money.
Well, that's a good thing, Rocky. When was the first time somebody who benefited from the legacy came up, they saw you somewhere and they just said thank you?
Oh my gosh. Well, we have an amazing group of charity partners, and anytime they see me in the community, they just say thank you, and I'm so grateful that I get to be a part of something and now bring my girls into something that, legacy is long lasting. And some people think, well, legacy means my dad's legacy. And that's not really what it means. It means the legacy of our family, because this is something that our parents have instilled in my brother and I, and now I get to instill in my girls. And it's just wonderful, the impact that them and my grandparents have had on us. And, you're always wanting to give more than you receive. And that is something that my parents have taught us. And I'm just really grateful that people can see that in us and that we're able to go out into the world and try to make it better.
Well, as a final thought here, when was your moment when you realized this was really a good thing? When did it hit you what you were accomplishing and how much good you were doing?
I think a few different things. So every year after the race, we, allocate everything, and we're able to sit down one-on-one with the charity partners to distribute their checks, which is just such a inspiring moment. And then a few years ago, we came up with our Impact Grant Awards, which anybody can apply to, and we get to hear what the impact they need is right that moment. And last year, we were able to donate enough money to the Greater Lansing Food Bank to give 1 gallon of milk per day to everybody that went through there. And just the emotion that is, just to know that somebody's getting the gallon of milk that they need for themselves or for their kids. We take for granted that we can go to the store and just pick up a gallon of milk. But when you hear it like that just totally brings such an impact to you. So they were just one of the impact awards we were able to give last year. And we will be doing that this year on September 17th. So we're very excited to get those grants in this summer, look them over, see what we can do. And another thing that we do is we have placement at the community foundation so that we can have an endowment fund, so people can donate directly to the endowment fund. And this year we've had some people donate for, eventually when they pass away, that they are leaving money for us specifically for that endowment fund, which that's a big thing because, long after my parents are gone or I'm gone or maybe even my girls are gone, that money is still going to be there, giving money away, distributing every year. And that is really what a lasting legacy impact is. And just all of the things we've been able to accumulate and accomplish over these last 7 years have just been really amazing. And we're very excited and grateful.
Well, at times in a world that has a lot of negativity to it, Rocky, I appreciate you and your family because you're doing something that's very positive and makes at least me and about everybody I know feel better about things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it.
Rocky Izzo talking about the Izzo legacy, their run, walk, and roll 5K. Think about this, Dalton. Something that just began as a local thing, which a lot of coaches do in the Big Ten and the universities, and now it's a statewide thing.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Amazing. That's a lot of money, and they do a lot of good. When we come back with more of the Sports Life, our parting shots in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is the Sports Life.
Anybody ready for a burger?
I'm State Fire Marshal Rich Miller, reminding everyone to think safety first when it comes to outdoor grilling, whether it's charcoal or gas. Never overload your grill with food. Excess fat and grease will create large flames. Grill outdoors and never inside or in a garage. Never leave a grill unattended and always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. For more tips on safe grilling, visit the Bureau of Fire Services website at michigan.gov/BFS.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Had a fun show. We talked about doing good. We talked about college football. What are we doing in college football? And what about that Nebraska softball team? Anyway, we have now worked our way to our parting shot. So, Dalton, what do you got?
And if you missed any of that, make sure you give us a follow at Sports Life Now, where you can find us on Twitter or X. That's, again, at Sports Life Now. We'll have everything posted there. For my parting shot, I want to bring back something that happened here recently as Purdue met Indiana on the baseball diamond. And there was a Purdue icon that stepped in between the lines and onto the mound, that being Purdue basketball head coach legend Gene Keady. Gene Keady threw out the first pitch as Purdue ended up defeating Indiana in a walk-off win. Gene Keady, by the way, 89 years old. He's going to turn 90 next week, and he's still got his fastball. That was a really heartwarming moment for Boilers all around.
It is, and I don't have a fastball. Maybe I've never had a fastball. I don't know. Well, my parting shot deals with a couple of guys that earned some basketball contract extensions on the men's side in the Big Ten. Ben McCollum at Iowa, what a year they had. They got to the Elite Eight this year. His first season as a Hawkeye coach. First time they've done that in 39 years. They won 24 games, so he got extended through 2032. Also, Fred Hoiberg of Nebraska. And I bring this up because Fred's journey is so different than the one McCollum has gone through. Hoiberg, in his first 3 years as the Nebraska head coach, won 24 times, lost 67 times. That's a whopping winning percentage of 26%. Then he got the ship right, had a 16-16 year, and since that time, 3 straight years of 21 seasons, had a 24-game winning streak over a couple of years, all-time record there. Won the first time ever in the NCAA tournament with Nebraska, and for Nebraska, they got to the Sweet 16, tied for second last year in the Big Ten Conference. End of story is Nebraska hung with him, he hung with it, and boom. And now all of a sudden they got a real program. And with that, that's a wrap for this week's show. And as always, we appreciate everybody that joined us. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.